Hey, so brief introduction. I'm Shawn Waddell. I was born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. I got my undergraduate degree, Bachelor's of Science from North Carolina A&T State University. Then I got my Master's of Architecture from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. After graduating from U of I, that was spring 2019, I ended up joining SmithGroup, and I'm now a structural engineer for SmithGroup. I've been with SmithGroup for about a year and 2 months now since the recording of this video, and I've loved every minute. As a structural engineer, my job is to be supportive and flexible, to take the vision of the architectural design and then make it real. My job is to keep the building standing up. If architecture be the flesh of the body, the structural engineer is the skeleton that keeps it upright no matter what. Structural systems, your beams, your grids, your columns, foundations, etc., they're not always visible. You don't really see what I do all the time in your everyday once the building's done, but it's okay. We've created models, we've done the analysis and checks, we've built everything to make sure it stands up properly from external forces, from its own self weight, from everything you can imagine. So as long as the building's standing up right, that means we've done our job, and that makes me happy. When I was 6 years old, we were looking for a new house. I remember like we would go into new houses and we would check it out. We'd see which one would work for our family. This is the 6-year-old Sean, not the 6 foot tall, 290 pound large Sean, so a lot smaller. And I would play hide and seek by myself in these new houses. I would go to different spaces, crawl spaces or rooms or closets, and just explore it. And I loved it. I loved just this new space and how it made me feel. And I asked my mother at 6 years old, I was like, well, who makes these things? She said it was an architect. And I was like, I want to be an architect. At that time, I was really bent on becoming a scientist. I think it was because I loved Dexter's Laboratory so much. But without having that experience, without us getting the new family home that was our current family home, back where I'm from, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And for me, being an architect is more than just the designing pretty pictures. It is the logic behind helping a building stand up. It is the how spaces make people feel. It's the idea of creation. That's what I get to do in my field, in my job, and that's why I love it. I love being able to help people with what I create, with what I design, all the hours I put in drawing lines or modeling or doing calcs, that helps somebody in the long run. And that's what I love, and that's my passion. The classes that were important for me in becoming a architect slash engineer were math, art, drafting, and history. Those are very important for me coming up, and sciences. That's just and sciences for general awareness of the world and how it works. Math and drafting allowed me to learn spatial awareness. Math for like calculating numbers, how how to pretty much the algebra, how to get from point A to point B, the problem solving that comes from math, and drafting from spatial awareness. Drafting is, like people who use ArchiCAD or Revit or AutoCAD to draw lines on a page, create plans. That's drafting. That's also spatial awareness. You have to be able to draw something in 2 dimensions. That's going to eventually be a 3 dimensional design and be somewhere where someone's actually going to live or work or play or any of that. So you have to be able to have that awareness. Art class for the creativity, molding your own creative mind. When you become an architect, you actually develop your own like ethos or like things that you like, dislike about a building. I mean, if you watch HGTV and you can look at something and say, someone says, "Oh, I like that," and you can say, "I don't, that's not for me." You have your own creative style. Everyone's an individual. Everyone has their own style. So with art, you actually get to develop what your style is. You actually get to work your right brain creative muscles to then like actually make something for you. And I would say history because in architecture, we do things that no one else has ever done. We model, we build, and like people people have done things before, but the older we get, we actually have to do it better. So in history, you learn people's mistakes actually. And then you learn whether it was a good mistake, something that you know to replicate, or if like, hey, we can do that better. And not just from like, this happened in history. More so like this is the way we've been doing it. Okay, well, how can we make that better? And that's architectural history, honestly. How can we make things and do things better for the next generation, or more cost efficient, or even just more creative or more pretty? It comes down to those wires. My interests in high school were poetry, music, sports, tailgates, my church, cooking at those tailgates, and learning how to drive. I always knew I wanted to work in buildings, but and my interests may not seem like they align with architecture, drawing pretty pictures, but they do. To be an architect, you have to live. Like you don't live to work, you work to live. So you actually have to have a life and experiences. You can't design a school if you've never been to a school. And all of you who are watching this have probably can design a school because you've been to one. You have to have life experiences, or at least know someone and know where to find someone with the experiences, right? So for me, I always knew I wanted to be a designer from 6 years old. I think we talked about that earlier. I always knew this is what I wanted. And I think having lived and living a life and having interests outside of architecture makes me a stronger architect. I don't think in pictures. That's actually a fun fact. I don't think in pictures. I think in words, and I can describe something very well because that's how I'm wired. That's the poetry in me. But that skill set allows me to be a better designer because I'm able to work with how I see things. Maybe different than other people, but it allows me to become a different kind of designer, better too. So never knock your skills. Never knock what you're good at. Never knock what you're interested in. All of it matters. It makes you better at what you do. Knowing what I know now, I would probably have taken more drafting classes. I took one in 10th grade in high school, but I probably would have done more, or I would have actually like asked for a laptop so I could like download BIM softwares instead of waiting until I was like a senior, not senior, but a freshman in college. That's where I really learned, SketchUp and Revit, car, really learned CAD, learned it then, not before. If I had came to college with that little leg up, I actually would have been a lot better off, I believe, and a little bit stronger. I wouldn't have had to have those YouTube videos early on. I would have already knew the information. My earliest mentors growing up, other than my parents, of course, were my Uncle UJ, Uncle C, and Josephus Thompson III, who was my poetry coach. All three of them showed me that there's life outside of my city, that there was more to life than just Greensboro. And sometimes you can kind of forget, even no matter how big or small your city is, you kind of forget that. But they also told me to keep striving, be different, and try everything, right? So having that, I then was able to, with all those people behind me, especially in people at my church too, pushing me. I went to college and I gained some more mentors. Joey Daniels, who was my honors mentor. I had Jerome Myers, who ran the scholarship that I was awarded, but also became my mentor along the way. Robert Powell, who was my professor. I had Dr. Mike Kundle, who's the honors director at A&T. All of them told me similar things. Your mentor is designed to push you, and they also are designed. They see potential in you, and they want you to be better than what they are and what they had. So they'll tell you all their secrets, all the ways they got to where they are, give you that knowledge, and say, "Now be better than me." Right? That's what a mentor does, and that's what I had, and that's what I still have to this day. And with all the good mentorship I have, I still pass it on as a mentor to other people because that's what we're supposed to do. You're not supposed to just die with all this knowledge. You're supposed to die empty. You're supposed to have passed it on to the people behind you to make it better for them. That's the goal of humanity, is to make things better for others. And they give you a push when you need it. They are they exist because they love you and care and want to see the best in you, right? So that's mentorship, and that's what I received. positive impact in my role, I I get to design places like hospitals and higher education centers that help people learn higher ed and actually get better and get well. Sick people go to hospitals to get better. I am not a medical professional. That is Colette. That's my sister. She's the medical professional. I went to school for to design buildings. But it's crazy how those two worlds link up. I create spaces for these people who are sick or unwell or who need, rehabilitation or mending. And I have a hand in that. I'm a small cog in the wheel. Trust me. I don't do this alone. I don't design alone. I'm not there yet. But I'm a small cog in the wheel. But every cog is important if it gets you to the final goal. So I've seen my impact by the things I create. As an architect, you are defined by the things you create. And if I'm creating these beautiful spaces for people to improve their lives, I think I'm doing a great job. And I love it. I really do. And so I know my impact is there because I see other people progressing and bettering themselves with the things I design. In 3 to 5 years, I see myself as a licensed architect, having passed all my exams and accrued all my hours to, yay, accrued all my hours. I also see myself having passed my FE already, which is what I'm studying for now, and on the way to taking my PE, which is professional engineering exam, and then my on the way to taking my SE, which is my structural engineering exam. I also still see myself at SmithGroup. I'm gonna do that a lot. I like my company. And I see myself actually improving, getting better, getting more leadership roles and positions because of the work I've done and the knowledge I've gained and being trusted a little more, and being able to prove my worth or keep showing my worth at Smith Group. And so I see myself really, really growing up, really living my dreams. I do. Hey, you who've made it to the end of this video, or if you're a random person from the internet, doesn't matter. You who needs encouragement, go after what you want. I don't care what it is. Go after what you want. It exists out there. If there's a job you want, write down a job description, find that job, do it. Go after what you want. There are people exist in this world who are going to tell you that your dream job doesn't exist. Okay? They're false. It's a lie. Fallacy. Right? There are people who told me that you can't be an architect and engineer at the same time. False. Right? My two mentors at work at Smith Group, they're both licensed architects and engineers. They work as structural engineers for Smith Group, but they've done it all. They've done both sides of the equation. They're licensed in both. They're doing what I want to do. So how can you tell me that what I want to do doesn't exist? It exists. Go after it. Go for it. Push for it. You can do this, right? Keep striving. Keep applying that pressure. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. School sucks. It's hard. It really is. It's really tough. Even me, I was good at school, but it wasn't always fun for me. It wasn't because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of grind and effort. But I'm telling you, without that grind or effort, you're not going to make it to the end. Look, your dreams are not easy. Your dreams, the dream job you always talk about, you've already envisioned, so your family and friends about, I'm going to be this when I grow up. It's not easy. I don't care if it's a truck driver or an astronaut. Seriously, your dreams are hard to reach. Don't quit. Don't do it. Don't quit. You want to be this. You are your biggest cheerleader. I had to learn this lesson as an adult. You're your biggest cheerleader. You can't be against yourself. I don't care if you have your mom, your dad, your best friend, your church, your support system, your soccer team, your football team, whatever sports team that you follow. I don't care if you have them all behind you. You are the top. You are the biggest cheerleader that you got. And you think that means you're on the top of the pyramid doing like this? It's not. You're actually at the bottom of the pyramid holding it all together. That's you. You, the biggest supporter of your dreams. That's you. Don't quit. Do not quit on your dreams. Do not quit on your goals. You need this education to get what you want. I don't care if someone dropped out of college or high school, like Bill Gates dropped out of dropped out of college. So did Mark Zuckerberg. They dropped out of college. They had a big idea. Whatever. Statistically, that is not smart. They could have just kind of stayed and got the degree. It doesn't matter. I have a whole take on that. We don't have that much time for this. But look, You're different. You're gonna need that. You're gonna need school. You're gonna need an education to get to what you want. Okay? You are. That's the way it is. But go after something that you want. Do something that you want to do. Don't do what your mom told you to do. Don't do what your dad. No, that doesn't matter. You live your dreams and your life. Go after what you want. Trust me, right? That's all that matters in the end. Keep striving. Whatever you want, keep striving. Go after it. Okay, my rant's a little long. I apologize, but go after what you want. Keep striving. Keep applying that pressure. Go after what you want.